Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. A new finding has come about just in recent time in regard to a particular group chat being created. What's the theme and concept behind it? Working towards finding a resolve in the case, trying to help out members of the general public, gathering together, possibly. Well, I'll be sharing the screenshot with you today for a bit more context. We don't need to get too deep on the particular post, but what's important is to highlight the theme and discussions of today in somewhat of a formal way. I think over time, humans, more so outsiders, more so on Facebook, have lost their ways and minds in interpreting coverage of the case by the likes of me and so on, which is very unfortunate. But, shout out to everybody that continues to watch these videos and those in the background, people that have it under control, people that appreciate the videos, the coverage in different ways. It's all very good to see and positive. But I think as us, as a collective, we're seeing the true darkness come out of people elsewhere, and it's not always from the dark side, it's from the light. It really says a lot. It's a very interesting contrast to have. But amongst the darkness, just like the colour of the shirt that I'm wearing, there's also a bright redness going about as well. What, a red mist of anger and rage? No, just the colour itself, just like how it can be in the chat in recent time, all fine for most part of it and not disruptive. So it can work out. Today, the theme of, which I'll be bringing it all together with some additional screenshots from the past, archived, recollections, miscellaneous pieces, just to reiterate a certain story, the aspect behind it. Because the theme that needs to be acknowledged is, when it comes to the general public, what role do they play? And certain individuals are part of it that may want to play a stronger role than others involved in the case. See, okay, over time, Justin Roy has been criticised, negativity, and things about his behaviour in the case, pushing too hard, trying too hard for justice, a passionate individual. Whilst Justin Roy may take all the flack, isn't it also important to demonstrate the balance and not do a witch hunt just against him? It's also important to acknowledge the roles of other people and what they have tried doing with time in hopes of trying to help or solve the case. And maybe not everybody will see it that way as in help, more so adding more problems to the case, or the real people who are supposed to be doing their job in the case. When I look back to the Dylan Rounds case, I could definitely see it, picture it now. So in that particular case, I'll contrast but compare to this one as well. And it's just like a little guideline to go through it. It's important to acknowledge, of course, breaking news related stuff will always come first. But at this moment in time where there's a level of silence, we can still talk about other stuff and generate ideas along the way. Of course, the odd few side humans along the way that may not appreciate or see what's going on here, the vision, well, they're just lost causes. But welcome to everyone else that's currently here watching the live premiere. Feel free to make use of the live chat located on the right hand side of the screen over there. If you're watching on catch up or you finished watching the video and you've got additional things to say, feel free to drop a comment down below under the video and I'll respond back later. If there is time, I'll try and acknowledge some comments from the previous video, see what people have had to say, if there's any new information or any questions that need answering. Of course, if you want to catch up on recent coverage by me of this, top right where the eye symbol is, click up there, you get the drop down box with the full playlist and some loose videos. And if you do want to support this channel, a practical alternative way, in the pinned message of the comment section, you'll find at the top with additional links by me, one of which the PayPal one. Big shout out to those that have supported the channel in recent time, very positive to see. And shout out to Beauty Garumo as well for her support last night. That was very positive. And Beauty Garumo, if they're here watching right now, if not, if anyone else is, just let Beauty Garumo know. They're just there. You see the little bee, Beauty Garuma. The strawberries are forming, expanding, okay? The sisters have arrived. Sister strawberries. Wow. Double trouble. Extra sweet. But speaking of the case, that's what I want to be focusing on now. So I'll show you the screenshot just a little bit later. I don't want to do it too soon, just in case people don't understand the context and whatnot, and the odd dodgy person comes on in, yaps and stuff like that. We don't need that at this moment in time. But in terms of the Dylan Rounds case, whilst that was a search done trying to find a body, people wanted to help and assist. Of course, you got the police that are supposed to be doing their job, the odd private investigator that failed to do theirs, and it all backfired with the family and it dragged on into drama online, which is unfortunate. You had the general public as well online, majority on good behaviour, but then you had subcell divisions of people that on the surface level cared and were all nice to the family, but then elsewhere on different platforms they showed their true colours, and I saw it myself. Two-faced hypocritical twats, basically. And then you've got the more individual people that were boots on ground trying to search about. And we don't need to mention names because it might drag up people from the past. We don't need to summon certain humans, do we? But there was a couple of people that went out searching, looking for Dylan Rounds, or at least trying to, and it was good. It was helpful for the general public, material to work with, analyse, compare, contrast. But from the victim's family perspective, and I guess to an extent police, they didn't want people going out there searching when the family and private searches were being conducted. They didn't want independent people going in, destroying any possible evidence accidentally, any reckless behaviour. Now, I think nothing was damaged, but people still, went against the family's wishes and continued pushing on. And that pissed off some of the victim's family members, more so the mother, which is understandable. And I remember the independent people were like, you know what, yeah, they're saying we can't do this and we can't do that, but, whilst you're the parents, we don't care, we're strangers, but we're going to continue on, we're going to locate him, and we're going to do this and that. Just completely ignorant behaviour, tunnel vision. And did it yield any success or results? No. It didn't. Of course, you had the fan bases behind them in the minorities. But if you did question anything, those fan bases would yap like dogs and go on and on and on. But, it's typical. So something like that level of behaviour, tunnel vision, locked in, concentrated, ignore people's requests or wishes, go against it and keep on pushing and digging and still yield no success at the end. Does any of that translate into the Noah Presgrove case? See, to my knowledge, the Noah Presgrove case, you haven't got people protesting on the highway. You haven't got anyone protesting outside of the party house, as you might with other cases. Even in the early days, I guess, there wasn't like crowds of people gathering outside of the property or near to the highway. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, at least from what Sarah Long had said in the past about when it came to Avery, Carter, and maybe Logan, even though that name wasn't mentioned, but the damage to the property, if that's the same one, the party house, being stalked, attacked, threatened. Who by? Vigilantes, same people who are still present till this day in the community, unnamed individuals or people you wouldn't expect that could be capable. Did it yield any success at the end? No. Did it push back certain partygoers online so they don't show up as much now? Possibly. What good does that do? It's almost like Warlike Ref came to this case a bit too late. By the time he came to this case, bridges were already burnt down and people were already pushed away by the incompetence of others. Great, isn't it? And ever since, some structures and some bridges have been rebuilt by me, and when coming across maybe some from the dark side or in between. And bridges can be built with the light side as well. It's fine. But some from the light side may try and sabotage, the negotiation talks, which is ongoing. That sounds so fucking formal, that, doesn't it? Well, it sounds formal, but it's just basic communication. That's pretty much it. Like with the Snapchat post already, as you've been familiar with, and some of the screenshots of text, to put it into perspective, well, with a little bit more perspective to start off with, which is good. But, if there's ever a feeling where humans are trying to sabotage what you're trying to do in a case, so key measuring tool to look out for: are they sabotaging because they don't like that you're getting too close to the truth? Is it because they want to be the one on top and first? Evolutionary competitiveness? I wonder. It does happen with time. Now, I've seen some changes in human behavioural patterns very recently. I was informed by it by the odd person here or there in regard to a person's outlook of me, and I'll give my general thoughts about it later. Just be on the lookout for it. But yeah, in terms of the Dylan Rounds case, pushing on, even if there are wishes for those to step back, cool off, that's what's happened in the Noah Presgrove case. And those that may have pushed a bit too hard, may have scared off certain key people. My style and my coverage isn't as hard-hitting. It's not as forceful as some people. I know in the Dylan Rounds case, I kept getting criticised. Oh, you're not doing interviews. Oh, you're not doing this. You're not doing that. You should be doing this. You should be reaching out. And it was like, no, I'll do what I do with what I'm comfortable with, more importantly. And then that develops a calm, relaxed pace. And then with time, individually, people reach out for a reason to me because they want to, they may need to, and there is no pressure. Then it leads to some answers and progression made. To some extent, that's what's happened in this case as well. That's positive. This is a certain theme and area, the roles of today, as in, what do people do in the case? Those who aren't assigned to the case, where it's not their job to do the case, right? Just general public. But general public can be very helpful in different ways. But some people may use ways in a negative aspect or indirectly, and it has knock-on effects. Whether that be it delays progress in the case itself, scares people off, burns bridges down, slows down or distracts police work. I mean, to an extent, we've already seen little bits of evidence and proof of, multiple calls by this person or that person. Don't need to keep contacting, it's not helpful. Some pieces you've reached out to, the jigsaw pieces, one of which incorrect already. It doesn't look good. And if you're slowing the police down with your own research or findings, which turn out to be a waste of time, whilst the police are using certain resources in those areas and it reaches a dead end, then it's slowing it down elsewhere where it probably should need to be focused. I know people have gone about social media, that aspect, how it can be damaging towards cases and true crime and people within the case and those somehow caught up within it. Well, damaging of other humans can't use appropriate language and wording, of course, and we've already seen that. There's been times in other cases where some creators, influencers, TikTokers have gone all in on a singular person, like a witch hunt, may have turned out to be innocent, made a bit of a prat of themselves, they've even got into trouble as well. So general public or creator, got to try and control yourself, because if not, it can come back at you and it can kind of just mess up the situation in general. And that's what I'd say for now. But there will be people who aren't creators, but they're still trying to do things in the background where it comes to the light, the surface level in the end. To some extent, that's happened like with Jan Fiorillo. You remember her offer in the past, was it like legal service, covering cost of certain stuff to try and entice, get some people to reach out, first come, first serve, to speak out with the possible truth. But was that done with the wishes of the family? I'm not too sure about that. Did it actually yield any success? supposedly not, but effort and attempt was made, and Jan Fiorillo with those flyers and posters and whatnot. See, I don't know if people would agree, but when I came across Jan Fiorillo at the start, no problem, all fine, all okay. How they presented themselves, they care about the case, they want to help in ways, but they don't want to be at the forefront in terms of their name face. They want to be in the background, but still help. Roughly worded, right? And then obviously from then till just recently, Jan with her long paragraph of not too pleased or impressed by me or my coverage, how it just suddenly turned around like that. Weird, isn't it? And they've branched out elsewhere. Very weird, these changes in human patterns and behaviour and attitude. But was it drastic? Was it slow over time? I mean, there was post and coverage, whether that be from Jan's point of view or comments from her, and there was no issues there. And there could have been, and it would have been understandable, but there were no issues. So in terms of the actual trigger point, never really explained nor exactly very clear. For many long paragraphs, the language at times can be a little hollow or vague. At least when I try and do my stuff, provide a bit more depth, volume behind it, and even just singular words as well. Words which have meaning behind it and branch off in multiple ways of interpretation. But everybody's different, of course. But are the approaches and methods different within this case by key individuals here and there? Or is it along the same theme? And in some ways it could come across the same theme, the Jan Fiorillo situation, possible recently micro phase cas in some way. And I'll probably get to that in just a second. You know, of course, with the social media aspects of these different Facebook pages and what's been said there, the discussions, I'm going to be honest with you, I think it's been pretty dry. I think it's been pretty dry in recent time as for ideas and stuff, but there's only so much you can do. Of course, I will have the odd few screenshots here and there of past stuff which we may have already looked at, glanced at. You can always look back to and just see, did I miss out anything? See, the video I did last night, whilst, yeah, performance-wise, not of people's interest as much as other stuff, but I was able to understand parts of it better with what Stevie or Sarah was getting at because of what we've learned since from what Caden Pressey may have said or a different interview. Some details do cross over with one another, and that's good. See, whilst this is like an independent observation, just in general, and it's not quite to do with the theme of today, I'd argue and say there is one thing a lot of humans fail to do, and more so some of the key named individuals. It's not like a big negative on them, but it's like just like a disadvantage. It's because it's not done, it won't break certain cycles. But obviously, if you're balanced or you can try and process it from so many different angles and you can reach to this level of observation, what I would say is, and once again, not trying to be negative, but quite a few people might not be able to acknowledge the common ground upon different theories, crossovers with ideas and certain themes, facts, timelines, events. Put aside the timing of some stuff happening or not happening, but just the general theme of what's going on at some point. From the light side to the dark side, there are some consistencies along the way. The possible cause of death as well. Consistencies with the light side, Justin Roy to Brooke Bounds Carter, right? When you might give like more examples with key names, you compare and say there is common ground here. There is common ground between Justin Roy, Brooke Bounds Carter, and you think, how's that even possible? Where one or the other may be at each other's necks, or one is at some point, just because of the cause of death. And I'm only giving one rough example on the spot because there'll probably be more with time, but I only can think so much. Justin Roy, early days, beating golf clubs, murder, foul play. Brooke Bounds-Carter, I don't know what her thoughts were in the early days, whether it was a possible hit and run, but then at a later point, just a vehicular-based death somehow. The involvement of a vehicle and leading to Noah's death, vaguely put. And more so recent time, Justin Roy has acknowledged that a vehicle was used in some way, even if there is foul play, which is different to Brooke's outlook, of course, but, you know, the usage of a vehicle. The vehicle theme and cause of death is a very important common ground amongst the light and dark, brings both opposition closer together. But not enough humans can acknowledge that, so they're still at each other's throats. And there could be common ground right under their eyes or nose, staring them at the face, but just not quite acknowledging it. And those common ground factors can ease and lower tension and any conflict. But if people aren't acknowledging it, then it's not going to change. So I just thought I'd throw it out there possibly. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. I mean, in terms of the side-by-side rollover, I guess that kind of varies there. Is there a common ground with just the event itself occurring regardless of time and regardless of injuries or not to Noah or any other people in between? Is there a common ground that there were passengers present? This is what you got to do. If you can't make any more progress forwards, or it's just very silent and there's not much material to look at, what else can you do? There might always be something you can do, whether that be for yourself or amongst others, and that's just a common ground aspect. Whether you're clearing up trash in the case, clearing up confusion, you can also clear up possible division. Now, we don't have to get too deep, but at what point was there division in this case community? At what point did division occur? And what was the main reason behind it? It's the same question that I asked in the Dylan Rounds case and community. When did the drama kick in? When did bridges burn down and allegiances form and armies were deployed? At what point? And back then, some of it was actually to do with before the case and people that knew one another and had petty drama and some grudges. There was already tension there to begin with before the case. Well, there we go. Is that the same here? I think, was it Brooke Bounds-Carter or was it another person on Facebook that made a reference to either certain Presgrove family members or other people in the community that had it in for either certain party goers or parents, guardians of the party goers, even before Noah Presgrove's death. So there was a bit of tenseness in this particular case because these opposing groups with long-standing grudges, supposedly, are almost in the same room now. Well, if so, historically speaking, that would be similar to the Dylan Rounds case. Did it get resolved? No. It's still like that till this day, but it was more like a tornado. And I don't think I ever really used the term, but if it was to, and if it could apply here, I would call it the tornado effect. You got a case which brings in people, whether they're a part of the case or not. The people that are brought in may bring others with them, may follow in the same direction. And if there's already outstanding previous petty behaviour or any grudges, it casts like a big overshadow, a big rain cloud over the case, filling it with a lot of unnecessary noise and tension and doesn't do much good. So if there's any of that, if it does exist, feel free to acknowledge it down below in the comment section, because whilst the case needs to be solved and there needs to be justice for Noah, the community needs to be cleansed as well in different ways. Now, when I use that term or word, it's going to trigger outsiders. It shouldn't then. But if people are triggered somehow deep within, maybe it's just the inner exorcist working. Very weird, isn't it? But from like little observations here and there, what I pick up on, and certain key individuals I've come across with time, and I'm like, okay, problematic person, cut ties, lost cause, they go elsewhere to bigger, better things. No, they don't, they downgrade. And then eventually that seed that's been planted elsewhere has issues on another channel, and they get sick and tired with them as well. Yes, comments as well with time. Oh yeah, this person, the way they are talking about their past and uses of words, fancy labels, quirky language and stuff like that. I experienced it. I saw it at the time. I picked up on it on the spot. I cleansed the problem. It pissed off. And then it decided to infest elsewhere. It happened. It was predicted. I got it right once again. And for the odd individual supposedly to talk about their past, and their past and how bad it was. Really? Because one of the pasts that was mentioned by some individual from some particular place mentioned how they teased one of their connections back then. Oh, what? Like trying to compare themselves to a Carter, Combs, Jack Newton situation of one going off teasing, I could have anyone I want. Trying to get in the mind of the other person. Manipulative behaviour, but acting as a victim at the same time. And then going elsewhere. And then when things backfire, oh, use certain labels and lines, certain age, gender, generation, mentality, boom, boom, boom. Part of my generation, but I'm not like that. Others are, though. Yeah, there we go. People are going to be seeing this and think, am I colluding with aliens right now? No, it's just all in here, ticking the boxes. What I sensed back then has happened since. I did not get burnt, but other people did. There we go. That's what it's about. Besides the case as well, because it's in parallel, the community too. Of course, if I do come across any more predictions, I will always present it to you. Do I have any predictions, though, at the theme of today, as in regard to people want to help, people may try different means and methods, but will it ultimately help the case, break the case, slow down the case, or just be a waste of time? To say it's a waste of time could be considered disrespectful for people's efforts and stuff. See, to mention Jen Fiorillo, and it might be mentioned in the odd screenshot, being responsible or having assistance in printing flyers, leaflets, posters, spreading that awareness, wanting to get people to talk and speak out locally, in towns, billboards, whatever, and then Facebook adverts paying for it. Obviously, very positive to see and should really help. Did it though in the end? Not exactly, but you know, the effort there, the mindset there, whether people saw eye to eye with it at the time, it happened, it was done, fair enough. And from that occurring then, the offer, the legal stuff, to more so in recent time, the behaviour, the long paragraphs, misunderstandings towards me, telling me off like I'm a naughty boy, interrogation time, allegiances elsewhere with possible questionable people. Extremely interesting. I know some people have made references to maybe on other pages about Donna Bond and how she was at one point and where she's at now and what she thinks. That it's been a drastic change, there's been a dark influence upon them. Well, I'm not going to know, but what I will say is, I do remember Donna Bond being present in recent times, sharing their thoughts in regard to, I think it was to do with Robin Smith or Ashley Chadwick, not going to their house, that was a mistake made by them, but going to another person's house and I think discussing about the case or so. I mean, there were communication in recent time, all fine and good. I've not seen Donna Bond since, don't know what's happened there. I know there might have been some background talk or chat of random rumours that Warlike Ref has a problem or is angry with Donna Bond, but, you know, in terms of, you know, if there's any proper witnesses and people present, There hasn't been a single time where I've mentioned Donna Bond in a negative way on a personal level. I've not even really mentioned or acknowledged them in recent time. Of course, when you get a messenger that reaches out, it's good of them to do so. No problems there. But it's interesting to try and figure out the root. Where did it come from? Who and what and how many interpreted it that way? When there's no proof to start off with in the first place, absolutely no evidence whatsoever, why would anyone create a false story about Warlight Raf not being happy with Donna Bond? Because what ultimately has happened in recent time, completely oblivious in terms of me, myself. And there would have been a few other little slip-ups, occasions along the way where I've been questioned or a messenger just trying to help. Shout out to the messenger. Like with the Alicia Lee situation. But that was more down to a false interpretation by Alicia. Oh, I can't find Warlight Raf's videos on YouTube, or I can't access them now. I must be blocked. No disrespect to anyone, but I just find it disappointing how people jump the gun and think the worst in me. You get what I'm saying? Oh, I can't see comments. That must mean Raf has blocked me. Oh, my comments have disappeared. It must mean Raf has taken them down and silenced me. See, if you're a stranger to me or my channel, I can understand the misunderstanding or what you may think and jump to, especially if you're a bit of a jumpy person or a little vulnerable, right? You've been burnt in the past and you think, is it happening again in some way? I get that. But when you come across other people too that may know you a little bit better or a bit more familiar with how things work, and they kind of jump the gun, it's like, it's just a bit unnecessary. When humans, and it's more than one person, when they jump the gun, there is a misunderstanding, a misinterpretation. If it's not reached out directly to the person that they've got a problem with or an issue with or some kind of thing that needs answers, and it's passed about by general public, then Chinese whispers occur, then it turns into something completely blown out of proportion, and it's a complete disaster. It's happened many, many, many times in the casing community amongst many different things. And I've experienced it as well on a smaller scale, but it's been resolved very, very quickly, which is good. And you know why certain things have been resolved very quickly in recent time? Is because the odd messenger that has reached out has done so directly to me, made it clear, I've responded back clear, done, dusted, move on. That's good. Doesn't happen other times with other people. There we go, there's a dysfunction. But just in general, for it to continue on, I'm just interested as to who and what was trying to create a false picture between Donna Bond and Warlight Raf. Very weird and random. I know there'll be certain remnants from the Dylan Rouse case community, the YouTube streets, where certain references were made in the past about me. It was an attempt to try and drag me down or slow me down to send me in a different direction. Didn't fall for it. But, you know, when there's attacks or conflict and I've got to defend myself because of my channel or because whatever the attacks are, because it's directly in the case, then I'll do so. But if it's on the sideline, doesn't matter so much. See, let's be honest, I'm very realistic. Within the case and other people out there possibly, you know, covering, and there's been some individual personal attacks on me and threats, and there'll be witnesses, you'll know who you are, that have seen it yourself and are sick and tired of it as well. Well, whilst that's gone on, I would say I've been extremely tame, you know, really tame. As tame as a wild cat getting its nails, you know, cut off. Very, very good boy behaviour by me, considering the way others have acted. Has it led to a different outcome compared to in the past? Maybe, maybe not. But the consistency's been there. Yeah, I'll give you a little prediction right now, in case you wanted like an on-the-spot prediction or what I can sense right now. So if I was to predict or sense, there could be 29 people watching live right now, 28, 27 people roughly. And then along the way, more so afterwards and later, whether it be directly here or more so on Facebook, because when people want to do that, it tends to be more so elsewhere. Piss off, we'll do it elsewhere behind the person's back and not directly in the comment section, with the exception. I know what people will be saying right now. This video and what's being said, what the hell is it about? Not making any sense. It's called going with the flow. It's called covering stuff when there's pure silence. As simple as. Exact same methods, procedures in the Dylan Rounds case. There was a wall of silence. Nothing is being done. Not really going anywhere. Other people try and make attempts and methods to bring out breaking news or some kind of never seen before stuff. But how relevant is it to the case and what good does it really do? Sometimes it gets a bit overhyped. Whereas what I might do may be very piss poor basic, but it's what you see, what you get. That's what's important. Not over-promise, under-promise more so, over-deliver at times. Not as much disappointment there, which is good. Of course, when breaking news comes out, jump on that and focus them. Just need more breaking news in general in this case, and there's been a severe lack of breaking news and coverage in this case compared to the Dylan Rounds one. And the Dylan Rounds one was pretty bleak, so it says a lot there. Anyway, I think enough talk has come about now with a backstory, predictions along the way, and people's outlook perception. Let's just see what's recently come about online and what's been found. Well, here we are. This point of view is actually from a phone, which someone took a photo of their phone with another device. The screen of Facebook Messenger, a particular group that's been created. The person that's taken the photo appears to be actually in the group themselves, which is pretty eye-opening. In terms of how this came about, well, I'll give an explanation right now. I believe it was Twitter, but in regard to the account or name, default profile picture, default username with numbers and letters, just like how it's been in the past when random people reach out. No, not through Facebook. So I just wanted to make that very clear because I know when something like this is shown, it's going to trigger some people elsewhere and they'll be thinking, wait, how do you know? How have you got this? How did you find that? I didn't go searching. People came searching for me. Random people at random times. You know what? Just like the time of when it came to that Dropbox, when it came to the private police interview recording. Some random dodgy account reached out to me on Twitter with the link and post. I ignored it. I didn't trust it. I don't want to be clicking on links, right? Shortly afterwards, the account was deleted, nowhere to be seen. Things like that happen, and I guess it's happened once again. And if people do reach out elsewhere and demand in a forceful way for answers, I'll just simply say, watch this video, look, listen, learn, and there we are. I think what the most important question or factor that should be mentioned is not those that post about it second, third hand and analyse. You should be taking a look at yourself and question, who do you trust? Who do you let in? Because whoever you trust or let in, then what? They end up screwing or stabbing you in the back and then reach out to others and reveal stuff in terms of different perspectives. It's very interesting. See, when people have told me, Raf, you should create a Discord group for what? The Dylan Rounds case, the Kenny Veach, no Presgrove case. Let everybody in so then everyone can hang out, chat, talk, post, theorise and whatnot. No, that's a bad idea. Any type of group or chat created, you bring in good people, but at some point bad people will get in as well. Impersonation accounts too. A little spy informant comes on in, gathers details, information, and then disappears, and then goes back to wherever they came from or originated from. and spill the beans, and it just gets very messy, doesn't it? See, the theme of what's seen on screen here is some kind of means or ways to try and help in the case and help others, which is a positive. Offer for legal and forensic fee. There is a profile picture there, but I can't quite read it. It does say invite, hide latest updates, Michael. Once again, the name Michael, which basically means Michael Fazekaz, likely, has named the chat offer for legal and forensic fees. In terms of any sensitive information or details, they are not present. None of that is shown. Just as a heads up, no sensitive information or stuff like that is present here. It's very bland, so it must mean it's been done quite recent and not much has happened. As for how many members are a part of it, it doesn't show. I know some people previously have had a go at me for doing this type of stuff because it doesn't have full context, but, come on. I'm making it very clear that there is limited context in the first place, and others don't like it when we guess or predict and whatnot, but it's better than doing nothing. It just shows that there is activity in the background. We call that directly private, privately in the case. Will it do much good? What does it lead to? What's the actual methods and aims behind it? Legal forensic fee. What are the forensics that are required in this case, especially as time has passed on by? A forensic fee for partygoers' phones? A forensic deep dive upon electronics? Forensics of the highway, the house, certain possessions, items of no evidence? What exactly for that? As for the offer for legal, well, that kind of reminds me of the Jan Fiorillo situation. So I wonder if Jan Fiorillo is in any way within this group chat. I know on Facebook just in recent time, Jan Fiorillo did clear up some stuff and in a way defending Michael Fazekaz, I think, in terms of the hacking claims and whatnot. Now, when it comes to the hacking claims and all of that, I mean, Michael Fazekaz didn't help himself when he was faking, more so, I believe, attempting to hack in the live chat of one of my videos in recent time. In a sarcastic way, but you know how people can react to it. Dig yourself into a bit of a hole there. Probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. But in terms of the theme of these group chats, random ones popping up here and there and whatnot, like recent time, the other one, what was that one to do with? Oh, it was called Stevie Howard, that group chat. Michael Fazekaz renamed it to Stevie Howard spelt correct. Even though the proof and evidence on screen did not show that, it still showed Michael spelling it incorrectly. And you literally saw that on screen. But Michael Fazekaz did have another screenshot which showed Laura Dutton suggesting the page or group to Michael, which he approved of. So it was already created. And Michael says it was created by Laura Dutton. And Laura Dutton responded at the time saying, nope, I didn't do it. There's no reason to. Well, that's great, isn't it? Because was it resolved? No. Was it a small-scale thing? Yes. But does a small-scale problem like that apply to much bigger problems in the case? Absolutely. Breakdown in communication. People on the same side, in the possible at times the light side or the midpoint, can't even communicate properly with one another. What the hell's going on there? It's very disappointing to see. It's okay calling out the dark side and how they may act at times and what they may say or think, but people on the light side, there isn't always like complete cooperation or people aren't always in sync. So, there's that. Will anything else come from this particular page, group chat? Who knows? But it's just interesting to see that there are attempts made by the general public in trying to help the case, get things going, moving forwards. But would anyone interpret it in a darker way? You can let me know your thoughts below. In terms of like other stuff, as in the past, Jan Fiorillo, I know that says 8 hours ago, but this is like some months ago now. And Jan had said, first, thank you to everyone who supported the offer effort. The offer is not directly linked to this new group chat, just as a heads up there. But you never know, similar people could be a part of the group onwards in the future, trying again or in other ways to get people to reach out, feel comfortable to talk, for truth to come around. Has it happened yet? Not from the looks of it. The forensic fee, interesting. What could that entail? But this past post by Jan, those who shared all the post about the offer, over 6,000 times that we can tracking. Thank you to all those who hung posters, flyers throughout southern Oklahoma, North Texas, able to get 500 posters, flyers hung out in the communities. I also ran adverts on Facebook and Snapchat. We had 20,000 plus views, 1,000 clicks, and finally, thank you for all your kind words, concerns, and prayers. So, you know what's really interesting? How, and I'm just going to base it off an observation, that's all, how something like this, which comes across as a bit more down to earth and not as robotic, where Jan is thanking people and other people are thanking her and it's all positive, how it went from that to how it is now and it's gone downhill. And people's opinions or feelings towards Jan have changed as well, or not as positive overall. It's changed up. It's unfortunate. I am not at liberty to discuss the reason behind pulling the offer post early. I think that was, August 2024? Around August 15th? Where would that be when the offer was taken down, or if it was days before that? And people wondered, was it done early because someone actually reached out? What's going on there? It raised a few eyebrows and Jan broke a silence, basically saying, I can't talk about it, pretty much. Any participant or more than one to my offer would be protected by attorney-client privilege and a non-disclosure agreement, confidentiality agreements. My offer was purposely designed to keep my only involvement in this endeavour as strictly a financial sponsor. The offer was set up this way, an advice of legal counsel, to keep me and family safe, to prevent me from inadvertently becoming a witness, and to in no way become involved in or interfere with the investigation in this case. It's important to acknowledge that helping in the case but not stepping over the line, not wanting to interfere, are the same methods being applied here as well. Helping, assisting, without stepping over the line. Justin Roy, who's been pushing for justice over time, has taken a lot of flack recently and previous, and people have called him out for stepping over the line, getting in the way and interfering with police, and police have acknowledged that and know his family to an extent. But besides Justin's actions, has anybody else been called out, or there's any negativity towards them? I wonder. I mean, when I came across Michael Faye's Kaz in the past, no problems whatsoever. And only in recent time, Michael Faye's Kaz got a bit whingy and whiny in tone of voice, or text more so. So yeah, I have seen human behavioural changes within people and key individuals, to say the least. It's a shame, but it happens, and it will always happen in every case that one is present in. If you can get it out the way as soon as possible, that's better, but it always tends to be dragged out. So I just thought I'd bring some of these little examples back up of interest, the themes of people helping, getting involved, doing what they can, what's possible. What else do we have? I'll continue to do what I can as a victim's advocate for NOAA, to include working with a team to ensure NOAA's civil rights have been upheld from the moment Ellie and first responders were on scene through to the prosecutions of anyone who may have denied NOAA his civil rights and his future. More on this later. Was it ever explained later? I can't remember. Let's all honour Noah's memory and do what we can to keep his case alive and in spotlight until justice is served. I know ever since this post, Jan Fiorillo had started typing a lot more longer paragraphs. The complaints and worry, concern in regard to that Netflix documentary, Jan, pointing it out, tagging Netflix or so to say, hey, if you're going to be doing a documentary like that, you should be aware of who's involved and the party goes, party host, and responsibilities there. Triggered a lot of backlash from people, of course, I remember. Jan Fiorillo with the social hosting laws, the definitions of that, and other things along there. It's been very formal ever since. Talk about a theme, give a definition, go into it a bit more, maybe some laws in general about it, how it can link to the case. And people could say it's a bit robotic and what does it actually do for the case? But, it's accepted and people on Facebook approve of it and listen or just go along with it. But then as soon as Warlight Raf does his psychological analysis of the case or the community, highlighting problems which are important, oh no, Warlight Raf gets told off like a naughty boy. Seems a little bit one-sided, double standards there. But we've seen that theme with time now. Moving it on. And we've got this particular one, July 24th, 2024, 11:02 a.m. Conversation with someone with Alicia Lee. Person says, Jan, I think, knows it's not possible to release that publicly in an open investigation. Alicia says, if they get their hands on Caden's data, it will just give them what they need to come up with a new timeline. No thanks, not going to happen. I think Jan Fiorillo has a good heart and is well educated. However, we have had conversations where Jan, is requesting that I send the data to her attorney for him to review and that he had other interest in the case. That sounds very dodgy. When I asked her who her attorney was and what he needed the data for, Jan Fiorillo became very defensive and removed herself from a group chat we were in with others. And whilst that's in the past, it just shows a bit of conflict, crossroad, different attorneys here and there. So Jan's got an attorney? Double check that. I send the data to her attorney. Jan Fiorillo isn't even a part of the case or a party goer or a parent to a party goer, but has an attorney supposedly. And that attorney is also got interest in the case in other directions. Why? Is that attorney doing work for other people within the case and wanted certain data from Caden Pressey's point of view with his phone, reaching out to Alicia for that permission in hopes of being able to use that data against Caden in the future to support other partygoers' claims? But then that would put Jan in the middle of it all and it would come across as very dodgy. Yeah. So it just goes to show how, yes, these particular posts can be taken out of context, but the theme of it in general, the legal side, the formal procedures in the background, the want and the need for certain data possibly to be transferred, passed on, what's the actual aim? Because it sounds like on the surface level, people may be doing good things at their own heart, natural behaviour, and because they care about the case. But is there ever a time where there could be a negative undertone, like they're doing it for other reasons, like where you mask certain actions whilst you're doing other stuff elsewhere? Is it done secretly to support somebody else in the case? That's very interesting, can get extremely deep. That in response, the person said, whoa, Jan should be respecting your choice of legal representation and not interfere with it, period. Jan Fiorillo should not be interfering with others and Alicia or Caden. And it was Jan Fiorillo here that mentioned the offer was set up as on the way an advice of legal counsel to keep me, family safe, to prevent me from inadvertently becoming a witness, in no way become involved or interfere with the investigation. That Jan does not want to interfere with the case, the investigation. and how it's interpreted here from a person's point of view after listening to Alicia Lee is that Jan should be respecting your choice of legal representation and not interfere with it. Bit of a crossover. Now, if this is all true, I mean, Alicia had the run-in with supposedly Kathy Bingham, that Kathy Bingham wanted Caden Pressey's private police recorded interview of June 2024. So it's like these different people who aren't directly in the case as a witness or a person of interest, but they've stepped on in somehow, kind of members of the general public, exception Kathy Bingham is a private investigator there, slight exception, but still, nosying around, trying to, get a hold of stuff. See, that's the difference. Yeah, there might be people out there that push harder than me, get the noses in deep, try and find stuff, but sometimes it could be done out of desperation, other times it can be done in unnatural ways, and other times it can be done in a bit of a forceful way, passionate, but comes across wrong by the other person, and they might back off and might say, no, you're not getting that, no, you're not having it, no. And then a more relaxed tone by me, I don't push, I don't shove, but maybe naturally people come closer to me and then things come about. There's different methods, different ways for different people, different cases, times, communities. I'm seeing all these little crossovers and patterns. Very interesting. Anyone watching right now, just let me know your thoughts in regard to Alicia Lee in this particular situation in the past about Caden's data. What would that data exactly be? The phone data, the geofence or the geonetting of his phone, where it pinged the time of certain stuff? Why would Jan Fiorillo's supposed attorney want any of Caden's data? What's it got to do with them? It's just a bit odd. What else do we have? Is this the only other one? Oh no, we got that. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. Is there some other conversation, Jan Fiorillo with someone? Wait, those screenshots were DM'd from Justin Roy? I was on my phone and just assumed those were from George Choden, because my eyesight ain't what it used to be. That's even funnier now. Someone responds to her. I have screenshots from tons of people with Justin Roy. Anything that y'all have talked about has been sent to, I know, 7 people. Jan says, please share. I had a legally binding non-disclosure agreement in place with Justin Roy between us girls. That tidbit about Robbie Taylor being Jose was a plant to test that non-disclosure agreement was not being violated because I had some suspicions. It circled back in less than 15 minutes. Not just Justin Roy either, sweet old Michael Face Kaz as well. Oh, bloody hell. You know what? I just fetched these screenshots, bits and bobs together, threw them together in this video just because of the general theme. But you know what also crops up? The same named individuals. Whether that be because they get on well with one another, or there's suspicion along the way, or there's trust issues, it's just not looking stable from the case discussion outlook to the army page, that there is instability within. Over time, it becomes fractured. It cracks. It can implode at any point in time. Like Jan Fiorillo doing tests here and there because she has her suspicions. And then you got Alicia Lee that's, bit unsure, uncertain with Jan at a point in time in regards to the Caden's data. And then Alicia as well at a different point in time, not trusting Kathy Bingham whatsoever or even Noah Presgrove's family. And I think we'll have to go back to that on a separate post that Alicia does not trust Caden Pressey's family or Kathy Bingham more so. And that's at least roughly requoted from a particular screenshot of supposed hard evidence under the same account name. Different profile picture, but the profile picture has changed since on the original account of Alicia, so it's consistent there. Very interesting. So as you got these key hitters, big names, familiar people, right? Whether they're directly involved in the case as a witness or not, or a parent or a guardian, or someone linked as a friend of someone of interest, importance, is that these different individuals at times and maybe in the background don't actually trust others, but there's been trust issues for some time. There are suspicions within people with time. So when everyone might be together in a chat or on Facebook in a comment section, it might seem a little bit positive or nice. And then it's like, hi, how are you today? Yes, right, take care, goodbye. And then you go elsewhere, have a chat with someone. Yeah, you know what? I don't trust that person. They're right, knobhead, complete tosspot. Who are they? So it's interesting when you get those moments where you can see someone's outlook of someone on the public surface level, and then how it differs greatly when, behind closed doors. Because if there are trust issues at some point or early on, then how's it going to get any better with time, and if it's not quite addressed or acknowledged? So I find this very interesting. Michael Faiskaz, and not that it directly links to the original screenshot, but Michael Faiskaz fingers in pies with different groups. I mean, I don't know if Michael Faiskaz will say, I didn't create this group, I was actually requested it by Laura Dutton again. It's just so weird, the breakdown in communication. Jan Fiorillo says in response, it does not surprise me at all. Unfortunately, neither one of them have anything of value worth suing them over, lol. Although I wouldn't mind having my attorney send them scared letters, lol. So Jan joking about to an extent of threatening Justin Roy and Michael Faiskaz. But in recent time, Jan Fiorillo has kind of defended Michael Faiskaz. So maybe things have patched up and healed since. But this is very interesting. And when Jan here says about her attorney, does that have anything to do with the same attorney which Alicia refers to here in regards to wanting data to be sent over for the attorney that wants to review it and has interest in the case elsewhere? And why would that attorney need to review it when Caden Presser, you'd think, well, maybe at this point in time already, like Caden would already have an attorney himself? Not good enough, you need another one. Some external force, presence. So was this attorney the same attorney mentioned here? But for Jan Fiorillo, at the point in time in the past, let's just put it like that because it's not recent anymore, Jan says that both Justin Roy and Michael Faiskaz don't have anything of value worth suing them over. Interesting. Now, if we move on to something different, that one. Do you know, like when we get Pratt of the Week or Pratt of the Month? Well, we give that award out to people that, have great value in terrible understanding, petty, impetuous behaviour, and much more. So, drum roll, everybody present right now, the Impetuous Award, the Pratt of the Week, Pratt of the Month award goes to, in joint place, these individuals here. What the hell has gone on once in recent time? A person called Keely Craig Lacey says, it's sad. And the only podcast covering the case is Warlight Ref. And that has just become stupid and major drama. All he does is go over comments from his live chats the day before. Just pure drama. Rita Johnson Lee, I am so over him and his drama. God, these are fully grown adults, a lot more older and more experienced than me in life in many ways, but their language and wording is absolutely pathetic and so repetitive, vague, and lacking any kind of context from one extreme to another. People recently saying all Warlight Ref does is go on Facebook and read comments out. Oh, now it's coming down to all Warlight Ref does is read his own YouTube comments. Well, we've gone from accusations of Facebook only to now accusations of YouTube only on my own channel. Oh, it's not original. All Warlight Ref does is go on other Facebook pages to read comments off. Wow. Oh, but now he's going on his own channel, which he owns and controls. He's going to his own comment section, which is individual and unique from Facebook, and he's reading comments out there. How dare he do that? You see how stupid that really sounds. And you know what else is very impetuous, Keely Lacey? You say it's sad. You know what is sad? Is your understanding the lack of it. You are referring to my coverage and channel as a podcast? Come on, Keely. Wake up. I am a YouTuber. I am a content creator. A podcast is where you sit there, you got oversized headphones and a microphone the same size as one's ego, where it covers most of the face up. And then you talk on and on and on, and you might interview people. Do I do that? No. Do I have headphones? No. Do I have a giant microphone the size of my nose? No. I am not a podcast. How many times do I need to mention it? Over and over and over again, different people with time on Facebook keep saying that Warlight Raf is a podcast. I am not a podcast. People may treat it like a podcast. That's on them. That's fine. People may treat my videos like a podcast, as in they will be driving somewhere, or they might be getting on with certain chores or cleaning or doing stuff in the background whilst listening in, like a radio station, an interview of some sort of podcast. I get it. But the core concept and values of my videos and coverage is not a podcast. It never has been. Okay? Have I appeared in an interview once at least, though, in a different case? Yes, but it was not on my channel. Come on. If you're going to call me out, Keely, at least get it right when you're trying to refer to my channel and the style of it. If you don't even know the style of my channel or the way it's covered, then do you really know what you're talking about in the first place? Clearly not. You say the channel of mine and the coverage has become very stupid and major drama, but you don't actually explain what the major drama is. And you say it's stupid. What's actually stupid is the fact that you think that I'm a podcast when there's no evidence of it. You don't know what you're talking about. You need to rethink, relearn, and actually do some research for once, if you can actually be bothered to do so. Okay, you're going to do that? But Rita Johnson is no better. To say I'm so over Warlight Raf, you're still talking about me. You're still referring to me. You're still complaining. If you're so over me, you would not be commenting this, right? So clearly, subconsciously, right, back of your mind, somewhere deep in the head, the name still rings a bell. And that's why you keep referring to me. And his drama. Rita Johnson, what is the drama? You do realise you're the creator of it when it came to your comments, false comments made about me in recent time, and I simply defended myself. I think we are seeing a very clear pattern now, and it needs to be acknowledged. It does make me think, how much more incompetent can humans become, in general, with reasoning and patterns of thoughts? What humans will do, and this is just general from my observations over time, people will jump or cling onto a key, quirky word that's trendy and keep using it over and over again towards someone or some people, but they'll never give context or a deeper explanation behind it. Oh, Warlight Raf, it's so drama. All he does is drama. I'm so over the drama. Drama. What is the drama? Elaborate. Explain. What is the drama? Does anyone actually really know? Or are you just using that word because it sounds quirky and good? Because the drama of whatever has occurred elsewhere. The places that you comment on. I'm very disappointed in you. But at least some people win Prat of the Week Month Award. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I've seen it before in the past. Dylan Round's case, same old regurgitated lines, default language, default people, default excuses, default quirky language. It's too predictable with these people. But there's never an explanation. If you sat them down in a room and said, can you open up and explain what you mean by the drama? What has Warlight Wrath actually done, which is drama related in terms of being the causation of it, the root problem? And people would not be able to give a clear, coherent response or explanation. They might deflect, they may turn elsewhere, they might try and change the subject or add on a different point, but not actually answer the original question, which is similar behaviors like what other people have done in this case. It's embarrassing, right? I think at the end of the day, the reason why people from the light side and in between have a more negative outlook on me now is all because of their own petty problems with the dark side. And because the dark side have descended upon my channel, supposedly, that people from elsewhere who have issues with the dark side specifically will see it as, well, if the dark side is besides you, then you're a part of the problem as well. So the people that I hated over there who are now with you, I hate you too. That's what it is. Petty behavior, embarrassing by fully grown, developed adults of more experience and age, and this is how they act. And what happens? Basically, what happens is, like with any other case, these, what's the best term to use without people getting too triggered? These atoms, the way they are at this moment, will not change in the future. That if any of these people do move on to other cases, they might start off fresh-faced and nice and positive, but that darkness within, those cells within, corrupted, remain. That's what happened with the Dylan Rounds case to the Noah Presgrove case. The original cancer that decided to expand elsewhere, I would not allow that to happen. When I see a twat, I lock on to that twat, okay? And awareness will be spread, and eventually the twat will be dissolved. And that's what happened. Under control for a stamina war, and that is it. And ever since, dead as fuck elsewhere with certain people and communities. Dead. That's what happens when humans fail at stamina, right? When I came into the Dylan Rounds case, I had it ingrained in my mind, last person standing, that's exactly what I did. And humans that decide to slow down or stop for any kind of reason, who showed darkness along the way and then tried going elsewhere, stamina lacking still and forever. The same can apply from this particular case onwards elsewhere, if people do move on. But to be fair, this case has been a lot quieter in coverage compared to Dylan Rounds in terms of different creators and whatnot, because a range have already stepped down, gone quiet, so it does differ. But of course, you get the odd person here and there that can still be covering it, and miscellaneous ones like, was it Boo Quinn? Shout out to Boo Quinn, good individual. And then the odd other person as well, which, and in terms of recent responses or mentions to do with me, not negative for once, which, is it a miracle? Has one seen the light? Well, yeah. So, the way I see it is, I'm going to talk in general here. Humans can act like dickheads, and they can become lesser dickheads over time, but they're still a dickhead. You get what I'm saying? That's simplified language, because I know there's a language barrier when it comes to certain humans and me. But we'll do it on a bit more of a formal procedure now and step it up. People along the way, such as creators, they can act as a form of darkness, they can attack me and be the starter of it. There is proof and evidence that there are people out there that attacked me first. Very unnecessary, no good reason or motive to do so. And ever since, I defend myself, and that is all. And I'm also very tame and a good boy. But still, I'm supposedly seen as the bad one. But the best manipulative tactic humans can do and will do with time is when they know they're the cancer, they will actually transfer themselves from the cancer to the doctor. The doctor that's there to treat the illness. A complete change of power roles and balance. Power dynamics changing, roles changing, becoming the better person. But they know what's going on in here. Let's act nice. Let's turn into the peacemaker, peace dealer. Let's all get on well. Let's show respect. Let's all come together. A lot of vulnerable people will fall for that and also say, you know, this person has changed. Look at how they are now. Really? Really? I've analysed humans for over 10 plus years. Humans are predictable. So what I'm predicting in my mind, there are methods, psychological chessboard, turn into a good person, like, what is it? Wolf in sheep's clothing. That's what's happening. From day one till now and onwards, I stick to myself. I do what I do, like I always have. And other people can jump on in, use their motivational lines and statements, say it so many times to either convince themselves or convince others, pull the wool over people's eyes. And there will be a lot of vulnerable people out there that will fall for it, and then eventually will end up looking like plums, but it is what it is. Prediction. Prediction in here. In the meantime, then, I'll continue covering this case with what can be done and try and maybe do some more outside of the box videos. I just, because I've got like a gallery of certain screenshots along the way to clear them up or to go back over them, that's what I like to do and what I have done recently. Any breaking news, of course, will always be prioritised and come out as soon as possible. But, you know, if there's no breaking news, there is no breaking news. But it can still be time for discussion. And that's what the important factor is, which humans, outsiders, fail to acknowledge. But there'll be moments and periods, right, where you look back to the Dylan Brown's case, the same applied there. There'll be a period where videos made, talking in general, little discussions, might not be as hard-hitting as other videos in the past, but it's with what you're working with at the time and what's available and what's not. But what's always available is the live chat during a live premiere, meaning people get the chance to hang out, to talk in general, and or to talk about the case, and things can come from there. There's been times in the past and in previous cases where the video that I did wasn't that important, it wasn't that great, it wasn't that successful, it wasn't that hard-hitting, it may have not been helpful enough, but it didn't cause any harm, and that's what's most important. But equally in importance, what did happen, what did come from it of great value was what people had to say in the chat. They found a place, they gathered, they shared their thoughts, their knowledge, updates, and more. Then that generated other ideas and videos, which then became harder hitting, and then the methods of analysis by me and the comparisons and the depth there provided harder hitting. It can happen. In the meantime, rest period, but not truly a complete rest. Like when you're doing weights, you're going at it heavy, lifting heavy weights, doing high reps or high sets over and over again. You got to slow down at some point. You might literally stop completely, or you slow down, you keep on going, but you're lifting much lighter weights. Not as effective, maybe not as good, but there is still movement. There is still stuff going on. Just like with the chats and discussions. Do what you can and what's present. In terms of my conclusion, though, to the main theme of today's video, what I would say is with the outdated screenshots and how they are broken up into different context, they indirectly just so happen to coincidentally link together. And because of the theme of distrust, lack of trust and suspicion amongst different people who may be operating together at times, it sounds like a recipe for disaster. And if any group chats do form from now onwards, how long will they last for? Because if the last one to do with Stevie Howard was shut down very quickly, what was the point of that? And it was dissolved quick. And the breakdown in communication in who's blaming who and who's owning up and who's being innocent, never resolved, very strange. This new group chat, is it any of anyone's business? Well, someone out there or some people made it other people's business by sharing it. Not me sharing it, people sharing it to the general public as in me. And you know what's important is like when it applies to Michael Facecast is you might set stuff up, you might create things and then you might invite people, but are you inviting the right people if there are others joining your groups or pages in terms of like the group chats and conversations who, you know, have more access towards you than me in terms of like when it comes to Facebook joining a page in a basic way like how I have done, and that's mainly it, and an understanding that. And then other people having higher access levels to different pages and chats and sub-chats and sub-groups on the sideline, much deeper, they gain access, they get screenshots or photos and then pass it on elsewhere. Surely it will show that it's fractured, that who you let in and things go wrong. That can be worrying. See, people can jump in on the Alicia Lee situation with the Dropbox and how it's shared and who gets access to it. Well, this particular situation today is like a microcosm of it in its own way, to a small extent. At the end of the day, the theme of the general public trying to help within the case is a good thing, but there's only so much you can do and maybe at times should do. Exactly the same applies to a creator or influencer. It doesn't matter how big you are as a channel. It doesn't matter how popular you are. It doesn't entitle you to just walk on into the case and, you know, step over the line and do the police work and all of that. Now, I'm not a massive channel, but some could consider it somewhat of a big channel, but my channel myself, not entitled to all the information, to all the news and whatnot. What comes with time in a natural way, and in between, just spread awareness of the case, like how it's always been said. Spread awareness of the case and try and keep it alive. Simple aims, but important ones, to say the least. Pretty much it. Do I think any of these methods have helped by others that could end up harming the case? I wouldn't say so at this moment in time, because there's not been enough outrage or any, and there's not been really any negativity by Noah's family either saying, oh, this is a problem, that's a problem. That's just from what I'm aware of. I don't see any family members calling out Jan or Michael, more so calling out Justin, as we saw with time. Is Justin the one that takes all the flack, but then other people may do worse things, but they don't get highlighted? Just these little loose questions which people can think about in their mind at some point. But I think we'll leave it there for now. I don't know if I was supposed to be looking at comments of previous videos or not, but time-based, not quite possible for now. But I appreciate people's patience and those that did watch. If you want to share the video, feel free. If you want to hit the likes button, that'd be appreciated. Previous videos playlist up there, symbol, and links down below. My name's Ref. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.